We're starting over. The story is picking up me moving to uh, Lexington, Kentucky. My wife finds out that we're being transferred here, and the internet still wasn't available to us at that time. So she went down to the library and she read about Kentucky. She had childhood memories of it not being more of hillbillyish where she went, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to raise her kids there. But again, she had faith in God, and she went down and looked and then saw that, wow, Lexington's actually kind of nice. So she came hopeful. Family follows me after I come out here, and we move into an apartment in Nicholsville, Kentucky. While we're at there, it's a small apartment, 2 bedroom, I believe, and Brendan slept in a closet. That's why he is the way he is. No, my wife then went out searching for a house for us, and she found one in Cardinal Valley. And Cardinal Valley is on the north side of town, off of Versailles Road. Now, the house was also purchased by using family members as banks, and we were very, very grateful for that. When we came to Lexington, the first church we went to was Family Worship Center. And after staying there just one service, we saw God moving there, the people knowing God, people excited about it, and really they were full on board with having God be the king in their life and being part of his kingdom. And we stayed there over 20 something years. The church itself was a very integrated church. And it was open to whatever God wanted to do, and the service wasn't dictated by just liturgical type things. I'm at Terminix, and Terminix I am doing very well in the branch. The sales were up from the moment I got there. Went out with the sales force and trained them and developed them. The crews, I worked with them individually and raised them to the corporate standards. This was a franchise, I believe, at one time, and as Terminix acquired everything, it was now converted to the Service Master, and Service Master's standards are very high. So I went in there and corrected everything the way it was supposed to be. The previous manager was not an ethical manager, and they found different ways to make bonuses, and one of them was lowering your costs for your material and supplies. And they would pretend that they were putting stuff in, and they would actually be pumping carnation milk in instead of Tamerticide. Um, they would sell jobs to identical houses right next to each other, and there'd be thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars difference between the jobs. It was just to get the job and get revenue coming in, make a sale, and not deliver. Problem was with termites, if you don't do it correctly and stuff, they are there and they cause damage, and they sold them termite protection plans, which meant that we had to go back out and retreat it, and we had to fix any damage. They were playing the crap game thinking they wouldn't get caught, but they did get caught because I was retreating all these properties. My material and supplies costs were way above what they should be because I was doing what the label said and pumping the amount of chemical in the ground that was supposed to be per the label. And then having to do the retreats, you have to do that too. So those are expenses you weren't doing. So everything was up, everything's being done right. But when it came time to get bonuses, I wasn't getting one. I was getting a reprimand because, yeah, the regional did get a bonus because my numbers weren't good as far as taking care of the job. And sometimes you got to do the right thing to correct things, and then you can go on from there. Not sometimes, all the times. So I'm staying at Terminex. I'm a little frustrated at this point because I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not getting rewarded for doing the right thing. And an opportunity arose in my church. I was at a show. I believe it was a home show or a kids show, and I saw a gentleman named Pete Deloise there. Pete owned the Rainbow Play Systems of Cincinnati, and I approached him after the show to see if he'd be interested in donating the playsets to our church, for our children's church, and a basketball goal. And I said, if you put those things in, it's in a prominent place. People can see it. You can direct them there. And I'd be happy even to represent him for any leads that he had. And he came and he agreed to do that. And that was exciting. And so I was doing that kind of like a little extra money on the side since I wasn't making any bonuses and stuff. Um, and what happened? I was making it on the side. Oh, and then there came a time that my church needed help. They needed an administrator. I had to stay with Terminex for a period of time to make sure that they couldn't come at me to pay back for the move to bring me out here because they funded all that. And so we were looking at the dates and staying at the dates, and I was looking to see if things don't change, I might have to go somewhere else. But during that time, our church needed a church administrator, and I was asked to come on board. And they agreed to match my salary and bring me on board. So I came on board, and my responsibility was to help the pastor navigate some financial problems and get things straightened out. One of the things that God had me do is the church itself um, was in a building fund time, and they didn't have the money, didn't do it right, and the project stopped. So all they had is a shell built on the outside, and you know, inspired me to go and get bricks for it and see if I can get the bricks donated. So I went to bricking companies and let them know where we were at and told them our hardship that was going on and see if anybody would be interested in help. If there was bricks that were going out of style that they knew they didn't have a large enough quantity to do bigger jobs and things. And they were kind enough, and they worked something out with us. And then we found workers to come out and put it in there. And it was basically like 20 feet high by 50, see, no, 20 feet high by 150 by 150 by 150. And so we got the outside done before all the wood on the outside was going to rot. Um, and while that's going on, um, I'm enjoying my position, and I'm working in children's ministry and um, playing characters, playing a pirate, playing a overcomer. I'm pretty heavily involved in the church. And then something happened where the pastor had to leave. And so the reason I was there is to support him. And so myself and another person, Alan Creech, stepped up to be leaders with the elders of the church. And um, there was a search for a pastor, and they found a pastor, Mark Redmond, that was not only qualified to be a pastor, but he was also talented enough and business savvy enough from his family businesses to handle, you know, business. So there really wasn't a need for me to be there anymore. So left Terminex in its position, did that, became a mainstay in the transition to hold the church together. After it was held together, a new pastor came in. Then I would say, budget's tight, transition, time to leave. And so here I go. I have to trust, as I always do, trust that God was going to take care of us. He gave me the idea, the approach, Pete Toys, to buy the place that's on wholesale. And doing that, I was able to start a business. We took credit on our house, a home loan, and we bought, I believe it was $40,000 worth of play sets. The church was nice enough to let me use the shell of the building to bring all the play sets down and use it as a warehouse as I set up the store, which was located at um, where Schlotsky's is off of Nicholasville Road. There was a lot there. It was just a green lot. And my family, we lived there for a number of years, living in a trailer for the business and porta potties and having play sets put up there, yard barns. And eventually we had someone else lease the property with us. Um, all that happened in a blink of an eye. And God took care of all that. He transitioned things. And so I go, okay, if I'm not working for the church, I still, as a business person, could minister and let the kingdom grow that way. So we set forth to do that with our own business. Our kids were homeschooled there. They learned the business. They were in activity. They were outside all the time. It was really good. But then I was at a show that we were doing, a kids show. And at kids show, I was approached by a gentleman named Doug Barnes. And he saw that me put the play sets together and do it all by myself. And he was impressed at how quick everything got done. And he approached me. He says, I've been given this business idea, and I don't think I can do it unless I have somebody that's mechanically inclined and somebody that would be interested in doing all the outside work of the business. Because he's an indoor guy, he's an office guy, he likes doing that kind of stuff, and I don't like doing that stuff. So he talked and stuff and showed me what it was, and I go, wow, car door unlocking company. Never heard of it. I do know people lock their keys in their cars. How much is it and stuff? And we both had to put $500 in. That was a lot of money for us, especially if we're running a business. You don't have a lot of extra cash in there, but we do it. I go down to Lafayette, Louisiana to get trained, and I learned 65 different door opening techniques. That's all there was at that time. Came back and started unlocking car doors. I did that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 365 days. Did that for a number of years until we could bring somebody on. Every time we brought somebody on, my pay would go down because I only got paid by the car doors I unlocked. Doug and I did not take a salary from the business until we could take a salary from the business. We both I kept my playground business and he kept his Papa Shop business, and we did things until we could afford to pay ourselves. I give that to any recommendation in the business. Do not take out before you can. Um, so God is providing for me with the place that's, he would have people show up. I had a gentleman, R.J. Corman, just walk into our business and whip out, I think it was 99 $100 bills to pay for a playset. We bought the largest one we had, King Kong. Came right at the right time when our family needed it. Paid for our rent by selling that one playset. Yeah. Time and time again, I'd be out and about. God would lead me to a place and say, "Go talk to these people. Bring with a catalog." He would have me go to different businesses and talk to people. I would listen and I would make sales. I had one gentleman that I told the stories of what I was doing. He worked at Man of War 4. He was a GM. And he liked it so much. And I liked the story of how I met my wife and I was Santa Claus. He wondered if I could deliver the playset during just before Christmas. And so we made arrangements and he made sure all the blinds were closed and we got it all set up. And then he had someone he hired from his work to show up and pretend to be Santa Claus working on it and had his kids look out and see him. And that was a fun process. Um, I've always had a fulfilling life. God has always been on my side, and He's on your side too. So Sandy and I are doing that business and then doing Popalock. My goal for my family was that they didn't have to continue um, being stretched as much as they were, and the stretching I felt too. But I probably should have kept that business because I was living on strictly by faith each month and watching what God would provide for us, listening to Him. Popalock uh, ended up being a great business, but it wore me down, and it also and taught me a lot. With Papa Lock at age 39, the business is going good. We got the one here, and I think the one in Louisville. And I ended up having a heart attack, the first heart attack that I had with 99% blockage. While I had that heart attack, I knew I was all right. I knew God had called me. I had peace. I knew I wasn't done yet. I was cracking jokes with no, this one, my wife was driving me. I was belching nonstop going there, but I had peace all the way through. My wife maintained herself. Both of us, our faith and trust in God allowed us to relax and have peace in each medical situation that came out. We just knew that He's for us. And if something weird happened and didn't, He was for us. So I always felt that I had a choice under each medical thing that came up. I could have been at one of the things where the devil may do something. I wasn't a may. I knew that I needed to be here, that I had more purpose on earth than I did in heaven. Reconciling men is the thing that God had us to be here for, so I needed to be here. I needed to raise up my family and stuff. And so I decided each time to trust God and have that peace that I was going to come through it. And each time we did. So I have that heart attack. And that's the first time I kind of took a breath of not working all these things. In the meanwhile, we started some other businesses. And the heart attack gave me the ability to pause and hear God. I needed to change my strategy. I needed to do something totally different. And that was to invest in people, to develop people, God taught me and let me see what was people's strengths, what was in their core, and to see if I could pull it out of them, if their character and their development was enough that I could invest in them. I wanted to. If they already had it and I could see it and say, hey, why don't you come and be part of our team? I tried to create a kingdom where the God's principles were available for everybody underneath me, giving them the ability to grow and better themselves. And as I did that to them, my company grew and was better. It wasn't that I was super wise or anything. The heart attack knocked me down and I listened, and as usual, when I listen to God, great things happen. Um, Businesses are growing. We have a business that did nothing but remove chewing gum, and we sold machines all across the country. God would give me contacts and places to go. I would travel several hours. I'd do demonstrations, and we would sell this machine that we had the rights to that instantly removed chewing gum, dissolved it. We showed it in airports, baseball parks, malls, and it had a lot of other functions. It was a dry steam machine that would use 1 gallon of water per hour, and it would also inject a citrus based detergent into it, and that cleaned everything. We had one person that had these machines down in Las Vegas get hundreds and thousands of dollars of contracts just to clean parking garages and clean escalators. It was nice. It was a business that we thought would do a whole lot more, but the distributor lost his rights, thus we lost our rights. But there God again. We put our faith out and worked, and He blessed. We had a business that did nothing but reconditioned interiors of cars and kept them clean and kept them ready for the dealer to sell. And we did that all for like $25 a car. I'm sorry, it was $35 a car, as long as we did every car in the lot. And that's why we fixed cigarette burns, we painted the carpets, did whatever we needed to make them look brand new. And we had those for a few years, and then we sold those to somebody else. They the dealerships were starting to figure out what we were doing, and they were trying to side sidetrack us and stuff. So we gave it to somebody that was going to make it their full intention, and they did better. It was a side business for us. We opened our own locksmith company called Lock It Up. It was something that we dreamed, and we opened it up in a couple locations, and it was to promote our Papa Lock business. Um, in this business, God gave me favor with so many people. Uh, the Yellow Pages put me on billboards promoting their Yellow Pages. They filled in all their spaces, their empty spaces, with the ads for Papa Lock because we had a child unlock program. Radio stations, I had a 3-board rotating billboard truck. They traded with me in order to, I promoted their station and they promoted the Papa Lock. Uh, Television stations did free advertisements. They made us their co-branding us of child unlocking cars. I mean, unlocking cars with child's locked in them. Yeah, spit that out 3 times. Um, and all that was just favor that God gave us. As I operated in His kingdom, it was it was just normal, supernatural, normal stuff happening all the time. And it was weird. I sit back and look at it now differently because I see what He's done. And while you're living it, it's a little bit different. You don't see how the kingdom really functioned, how you did it. There comes a point that I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting worn out with the business and stuff, and my partner agrees that we can sell our Louisville territory, and we do. And then my partner lets me know he doesn't want my children to be part of the business. And after 12 years, that's like kind of a blow to the gut. And um, Doug brought the idea to me, and I wanted to honor him. I knew that God would bless whatever I put my hand to. So I let him buy me out. And I thought that was the right choice, and I still think it was the right choice on it. We went through a lot since then, but I don't know what it would have been like if I still owned Pop Lock and I was trying to do the things that I was doing. So Doug buys me out, and a company called Pet Butler. I bought it with the idea that I was going to give that to my daughter and let her run the business. Now, I did that while I still was being bought out by Doug, I think the last few months. And Doug's and I relationship was good, and he even allowed me to cross promote my business on the billboard truck if he didn't have advertisements sold. Um, and I would stop by every once in a while and let him know how business was going. Um, and while I had Pet Butler, I was getting frustrated with my own life, not feeling that I wasn't sharing God all the time. I wasn't pursuing Him. And I felt dry. I felt nothing was happening in our local body. We would get hyped up inside a service, but we weren't bringing it out to the world. Um, you weren't seeing the kingdom expand. We were kind of floating downriver the wrong way, my personal opinion for myself. So I wanted to seek God, and I thought about doing a 100-day fast. And after the holidays, I said, okay, January 1st, let's do this. And I did. And so I walked through people's yards for 100 days, scoop and poop, worshiping, listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, watching things on the internet, um, doing a lot of quiet times and reflecting. And God started to deal with me personally. And as I pursued Him, my faith took different steps, and I started seeing things that the local bodies was missing, and questioning things and trying to understand Why we always looking for the sweet by and by instead of living in the kingdom now? Jesus came to bring the kingdom now. He brought the kingdom. He didn't say the kingdom is gonna come. He came back in 70 AD, destroyed the temple. When he destroyed the temple, he ended the old covenant. When he ended the old covenant, the new covenant that we live in was allowed to permeate everywhere. Yeah. So once you start learning that kind of stuff, and you're learning the difference of the covenants and which covenant you're living in, and understanding the covenants between the Father and the Son, and because of that, you can't screw it up. You start getting more faith in what His promises are, knowing that His promises can't be broken, and you trust Him even more. As you trust Him more and you dig deeper and stuff, you find out all the stuff that you learned was not right. Yeah, some ideas. But a lot of denominations and stuff, we really didn't push education. It was more about the flow of the spirit. We got stuck in some things like, the woman that cuts off both ends of the ham and sticks it into the oven, and everybody asks, why do you put it in there? I don't know who did it. Why, Mom, why'd you do it? Because Grandma did it and stuff. And Grandma says, I did it because the pan was too small. And all these guys had big enough pans. They never had to do it. They didn't know it. Western Christianity is like that. There's a lot of stuff in it that you don't need to have, don't need to do. A lot of things that we were conditioned to believe it was most important, and it's not. And so the church hurt because of that. There's a move now of people just knowing the Spirit of God, knowing that Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior, but knowing that God has always desired man, has always pursued man, and it's not only about man, it's about the fallen beings the fallen beings that are still messing with everything. Christ openly displayed his glory over them and beat them, but there's still a season that we have to go through. But the kingdom expands as you go. If the kingdom is within you, you take it wherever you go. Yeah, that was a sidetrack in the book there. Okay, so where am I in my story? I don't know. Mm, I guess we'll stop here, and I'll have to read the transcripts and we'll start the next one. Thank you.